ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for good friend and colleague, Mr. Andrew McInnis. I think year 4 or 5 CFL. I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 4, but it could be 5. We're going to talk some CFL today. Home openers, weekend, season totals, maybe futures. Of course, we're going to talk Stanley Cup. The headliner: Will the Oilers and McDavid break the Canada curse and win the Cup? I think they will. I also think McDavid, McJesus, whatever we want to call him today, will win the Conn Smythe as well. We sprinkled a little other couple plays in. If you caught it in game live on Sports Grid last night with Mr. Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan. Be back on Wednesday with those guys at 8:32 as well. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry Smith has it all. 4 subscription plans as well. Just set it and forget it every 30 days. Get this amazing box of, I got last Wednesday, New York strip, filet mignon, cowgirl cut. I got some chicken. Terry takes good care of us, and he'll take good care of you. So without further ado, the Elks are coming. The Elks are coming. Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Is this the year, Jeff? That's the question. Is this the year that the Elks can show some pride? We'll find out. Good to be here with you.
It's great to be here. I'm on DraftKings right now, and, last year they were actually bet. They were in the middle of the pack, but I looked at the futures, Andrew, and they're back where they belong. But last, plus 2,000 to win it all. Kickoff this week. I know you're fired up for some CFL.
Yeah, super excited, Jeff. Obviously it's only a 9-team league. So there is a lot of, similarities from one year to the next as far as results sometimes. But one thing about the CFL we see quite a bit is just movement, whether it's key defensive players, whether it's quarterbacks being moved, whether it's head coaches that have been around the block for many years that finally got kicked out of the room. That happens a lot in the CFL. So a lot of different changes to be made. But looking forward to things, looking forward to this season. Got a few win totals for us. Got a few futures for us. This year, I'm bringing a bet that I didn't bring to the last couple years on the shows. Most Outstanding Player of the Year award bets. I think if you get in early on, you can get yourself a good opportunity to hedge potentially later on in the season. So should be a great year. Looking forward to it. And I love doing these Tuesday shows because it gives us the opportunity to talk about a few things we might like right now. then we can revisit the numbers. As you know, the lines like to move in the CFL towards the end of the week.
If my memory serves me correct, last year in the Grey Cup, the favorite, it was a rout, correct?
That's right.
Okay. We had the favorite.
No, last year, it was the same thing as before. Winnipeg were the favorites by 7 again, and it was an outright underdog.
So that's 3 years in a row. The dog has won outright. And I was confused myself.
Wash, rinse, repeat with these dogs.
So if you don't bet anything the whole season, just bet the dog in the money line and you'll be profitable.
In the Grey Cup. And so I will say this, Jeff, like you bring that up, and I know you're talking about the Grey Cup there, but one thing in particular we've seen a lot. What do people like to bet in football? What does everybody like to bet in football? Overs and favorites. And you always hear people in UFC, it's the opposite. UFC bettors like to bet underdogs and unders, right? So in every sport, there's a certain thing that people enjoy betting on. And I'll tell you, as we approach the CFL Week 1 season, a lot of times I am looking for underdog spots. I am looking for unders. But there have been some strong trends over the last 2 seasons, maybe even close to 3 seasons now, where that is changing a little bit. I remember there was the year I went on my 8-0 run to start the season. I would probably say 5 of those were unders. I'm telling you, Jeff, you wake up that next morning, you punch in the under no matter what the number was, and you catch a ticket. But the numbers are kind of adjusted that way. And these days, it's kind of been the opposite, where the teams are there offensively, but the defense hasn't been there lately. So I'm curious to see how that goes week 1 as far as the favorites and the dogs and the overs and unders as far as that split's concerned.
Well, I'll start right here. Grey Cup to win the Grey Cup. The Argos plus 290. The Blue Bombers, Winnipeg plus 380. The Montreal Alouettes plus 425. BC Lions plus 650. The Rough Riders plus 700. The Ottawa Red Blacks plus 1,000. Hamilton plus 1,200. The Calgary Stampedes without Doug Flutie plus 1,500. And the Edmonton Elks at plus 2,000. Anything catch your eye? Anything already in your portfolio to start the season?
Well, I've been a fan of this team for a while, Jeff. So I guess I'd be kind of a repeat offender as far as jumping in on the futures market with them. But I like the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I think in a CFL league here, 21 weeks, not a lot of people want to tie up their money on a plus 250 or a plus 300. So I think you can get a reasonable enough price on the Saskatchewan Roughriders in order to jump in and be willing to commit for the investment of the CFL season. What I like about this team is that they have a lot of continuity this year. And in the CFL, I look for that. You don't want too much change, but what you want is them to be addressing the things that really matter. Well, what really mattered is their quarterback not getting injured again this year. So whether it was through trade or whether it was through drafting, they really shored up their offensive line. This offensive line should be very capable, should be very strong, and should let Trevor Harris just sit back in the pocket and do their thing. As far as the coaching situation, another year under the belt with the new OC in DC. I'm a fan of that. I think they coached a good game plan throughout the year last year. They still have AJ Ouellette as the running back. He seems like he had one of the best off seasons of his career. Looks like he's in phenomenal shape. And as far as the defensive concerns for this team, they were one of the best. Actually, they were the best running defense team in the entire league. They picked up some guys, some DBs as well. They picked up some corners in the offseason. This team just kind of picked up a guy here, picked up a guy there. They didn't go crazy, Jeff, in the offseason, but they picked up guys where they needed the most. And I really like that. Like sometimes in the CFL, it can be very deceiving when a team picks up all kinds of flashy guys in the offseason and you think it's going to work and it doesn't. And it goes to show no matter what league it is that sometimes when you team up a bunch of great players on a team, it might not always work. So I like the Rough Riders to win the Grey Cup. I like them to win the Western Conference. Last year, they made it to the conference finals. However, they got beat out by Winnipeg. And it's hard to really argue that because Winnipeg's made it now 5 straight years to the Grey Cup. So hard to really argue. But if you're going to give me a good price like that on Sask, I'll take them to get the job done.
And it's kind of comical. You can get Winnipeg at plus 380, but the favorite again is Toronto. Before we get into this week's games, let's see here. I didn't want that. I wanted that. Where was it? I had wins. There it is. Under overs, Toronto. Over 10.5 is minus 190. Hamilton over 8.5 minus 115. The Red Blacks that you talked with Gabe last week over, actually under now 10.5 minus 145. Calgary over 6.5 minus 145. The BC Lions over 9.5 minus 145. The Blue Bombers of Winnipeg under 10.5 minus 145. The Alouettes under 10.5 minus 130. The Edmonton Elks over 7.5 minus 150. And your Rough Riders over 9.5 minus 145. Anything catch your eye there?
Well, Jeff, I mean, just looking at things right now, as far as like just looking across the league, I think you got to take a look at the over for Winnipeg just based on the number. I mean, good luck to anybody that is doubting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers these days, right? I mean, year after year after year, as long as they have Zach Collaros on offense as their quarterback, and as long as they have Willie Jefferson leading the charge defensively, I'm not worried about them. Last year, they had, I believe, a 1-3 or 1-4 start, Jeff, to their season. They turned it on after that. They still managed to slide over this 10.5 number. Looking at their schedule, actually having a week 1 bye, but looking at their schedule, I feel like they're going to have a better start to their year. And once this team gets in rhythm, it's over for the rest of the league. So the fact that they had a slow start to the year last year, one change for Winnipeg, their former offensive coordinator is now the head coach of the BC Lions, working with the Lions and their dangerous offense with Nathan Rourke behind center. But I do like that over 10.5 number for Winnipeg. I just think it's one of those numbers where I'm not going to disrespect a team that's proven me every single year what they're capable of. But as far as the under on the Red Blacks is concerned, look, I don't really see a team that's getting overhyped more than this Red Blacks team this year in the CFL, Jeff. I really don't. There's not one person that covers the CFL and bets on it and talks about it that hasn't seemed to like the Ottawa Red Blacks. And here's the deal with them, is that I don't trust their defense. You know, when we look at some games that they had, yeah, sure, they made the playoffs, but in the playoffs, they gave up like in the points in the mid-30s last year. This is a team that couldn't protect their quarterback all year last year, which is why he was on the sidelines wearing tracksuits for 5 or 6 weeks because he was injured. You know, they go out and pick up some really, great guys like Geno Lewis, who's an unbelievable veteran wide receiver in this league. But when it comes down to it, I ultimately don't have trust that this team is that much of a changed team. I also don't really trust their special teams because it can be so on and off, especially their special teams defense. They, as many times as they returned punts for touchdowns, they equally gave away as many back the other way. So I'll look towards that one. And here's a plus money for you. I think Calgary's going to be awful this year. I'm not a fan of Calgary. This is the case to me, Jeff. And, I'm curious your thoughts on this, just overall football betting. They traded for Vernon Adams Jr. because Nate Rourke came back from the NFL. And I actually feel bad for VA because it's like, hey, man, you were our guy all year. Now Rourke wants to come back. And it's like, you know how it is. The younger guy, right? They signed the younger guy. They want him in. But a quarterback can't always change a team. Like, you could have the best quarterback on the worst team in the league. How many more wins is that going to guarantee you? The way I look at it is it might guarantee you some more point spread covers. It might make the game closer. I don't think a new shiny quarterback is going to help this team out. And I wouldn't be shocked if there's a coaching change in Calgary after this year. So when you look at the under 6.5 at plus 115. That's a pretty good number here to look at for under on the Calgary Stampeders.
Opening week Thursday, Ottawa travels Saskatchewan. Currently, Saskatchewan minus 3.5 with a 49.5. On Friday, the Argos of Toronto travel to Montreal. Currently, Montreal minus 4.5 with a 47.5. Saturday, Hamilton travels to Calgary. Hamilton minus 1.5 with a 52 and a hook. Kind of comical that it's only minus 110, both sides on the money line there. And then Saturday night special, my Edmonton Elks travel to BC Lions. BC currently minus 5 and a hook with a 48.5. Anything grab your eyes for opening week?
Well, I'll say the Saskatchewan number opened up 2.5 in the very, very early openers for FanDuel and DraftKings. Quickly pretty much saw zero interest on the Red Blacks from the market, which is funny because I actually expected that for the most part we were going to get more public love for the Red Blacks, but I guess it was a home game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So still lean to that side. We'll see what happens. I potentially would look to bet Saskatchewan first half in that game. They were known for making games sweaty and tight down the stretch. They were a great first half team last year. So that's one of the best home field advantages in the league. So I'd look towards that. But, I'm going to say that I think that Hamilton is a team that I've got faith in this week. And this is obviously, it's the pick 'em matchup. This is obviously the one that, people seem to have different opinions on. When you look at this matchup here, just pulling up some notes here, Jeff, this Tiger Cats team dealt with defensive issues as well last year. They were one of those teams. They're kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals of the CFL, if you will. They've got the fantastic quarterback. They're going to put up 30, and their defense might give up 37, and they lose the game, right? But when I look at Hamilton right now, some of the guys that they picked up in the offseason, including Wolodarski from Winnipeg, that's another reason why people are kind of down on Winnipeg, because a couple pieces are getting grabbed from other teams here and there. I still am confident in the playmakers that they have. A more bolstered up offensive line, a healthy Bo Levi Mitchell. They go ahead and pick up some pass rushers in the offseason. I just think that this team is ready. When you look at the Calgary Stampeders, as I was just talking about liking their under, the big hope is that Vernon Adams Jr. is going to take over and ignite the attack for them and be that new guy. But when it ultimately comes down to it, this was a team in 2024 that finished with 5 wins, Jeff. I don't see a quarterback making it that much better. I don't see a lot of the wins that they had making it that much better. And just looking at some of the quotes here from Dave Dickinson and company, they're even talking about how it's going to be a work in progress to get some of these new weapons and Vernon Adams Jr. on the same page. As far as the coaching staff here, Coach Milanovic for the Tiger Cats, he's talking about an aggressive game plan, leveraging Hamilton's passing strengths. Defensively, they'll need a strategy for Vernon Adams Jr., but they think as long as they can get to him, have that pass rush there, they'll make things very difficult because Calgary has a very weak offensive line. And that's one thing that I really like about this play is that last year, Jake Mayer took a lot of blame for the Calgary Stampeders, which is why he was run out of town and which is why VA is the new quarterback. But it's hard to blame a quarterback when he had zero time in the pocket. And here's one thing I think people should be worried about is that last year, when Vernon Adams Jr. played for the BC Lions, from my rankings point, they had the second best, if not the best, offensive line in the league. So if you have a quarterback going from the best offensive line in the league to one of the worst offensive lines in the league, he's not going to have nearly as much time back there, Jeff, to get the job done. So are Hamilton going to give up points this week? They absolutely will give up some points. Are they going to outscore Calgary? I think so. It's a pick 'em price here. I'll take the road team in this one.
Well, my eyes have already flocked to 52.5 to the over, but they are betting it to the under. So you can get over 52.5 minus 105. Maybe it goes down to 51. I think first one to 30 wins this game, at least first one to 27 or 28. So we'll be talking Friday on your channel, of course, as see if any of these games have the numbers have moved, of course, and then we'll recap Ottawa and Saskatchewan. Got you for a handful of minutes left, so I guess we'll talk some Stanley Cup, a rematch. Third year in a row, here come the Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champs. I don't think people remember. If they don't, I don't think this is getting talked enough leading up to Wednesday. The Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup last year. But I think people need to remember they had a 3-0 series lead. And the series was over. The duck boats, the parades were all lined up in Florida. Well, McDavid and company said, hold my beer. They forced the game 7, and then they lost it. So Oilers lose, Panthers win. McDavid gets called out from the locker room. Hey, you won the Conn Smythe. And he was just like, this wasn't the trophy we played for that I wanted. My point is, it's almost like the stage is set here. It's a rematch. Florida opened short favorites. Now I've seen Edmonton as high as minus 130. They have the home ice. They have that taste in their mouth. And they have a country on their back saying, all right, we need you guys to break the curse here. I got Edmonton in 6. I said it last night. I got Connor McDavid winning the Conn Smythe plus 110. I did sprinkle a little plus 750 on Leon Draisaitl. And the real pizza and beer cherry on top, Mr. Skinner at plus 5,000.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, Skinner, he was the MVP of the Western Conference Finals. I don't care what anybody says. I'm the president of the Stuart Skinner fan club right now, and it sounds like you're right there with me, Jeff, on that. From a personal perspective, you talked about Canada getting behind the country. You know how much pride I'd take from being where I'm from. So it might be a win-win for me, because if the Oilers win, a Canadian team wins, and McDavid, the captain of the team and future captain of Team Canada once Crosby calls it quits, gets his Stanley Cup. If the Florida Panthers win, I get to go to a Stanley Cup parade because Brad Marchand will be bringing home a Stanley Cup to my hometown. So, and you know he'd love to get one because he got one early in his career, but he'd love to join McInnis and Crosby with those Stanley Cup parades here in the East Coast of Canada. But I agree with your sentiment about Oilers in 6. I also agree, though, that it's not going to be the same type of, okay, one team takes 3 games in a row and then we go, it potentially could be a more back and forth. Here's one caveat, one thing I'll say that's very important, and this is in any series. The Florida Panthers are 8-2 on the road in the playoffs this year. 8-2. The Oilers, since going down 2-0 against the LA Kings, have been on an unbelievable run, specifically not losing in oil country. That's going to be the big difference. The series opens up in Edmonton. Florida called it quits to end the season in the regular season. They said, we're going to get healthy. We don't care if we have road ice or home ice, no matter what it is, all playoffs long. We just want to get to the dance. We'll make it happen. It's, of course, important to win game 1. But if, and I know this is very hard, if the Edmonton Oilers can protect home ice in the first 2 games, that is huge for their series. Because Florida have been road warriors. If Florida comes in the first game and somehow pulls out a 3-2 victory, the whole building and country, not even just the city, country will be in shock. Because you don't want to give them flashbacks to what happened last year. But I think the biggest difference, the Zach Hyman loss is crucial. But when I look at this team this year, this team looks tougher. They don't look like they're pretending to be tough. They look like they actually are tough. And the Florida Panthers, they're going to dump the puck in and try to destroy every defenseman on the Oilers. It's what they do in every series. Paul Maurice got mic'd up saying it. We're going to hit them so hard that they won't even be ready for game 7 if it gets there. That's what he said on the mic'd up. But I think they get there. And I think the biggest key is the secondary scoring in this series. And when you've got guys like Corey Perry, Nugent Hopkins, Podkolzin, Evander Kane, even contributing offensively, some of these guys, that makes the difference. So both teams have depth. I'm also very curious to see what happens with the defensemen offensively. You know, Florida's had several defensemen contribute offensively. We've seen several defensemen for the Edmonton Oilers contribute offensively. So that will be very key. And also, I never thought I would be saying this in my whole entire life, but 5-on-5 hockey benefits the Edmonton Oilers right now. It's crazy. And you've been talking about it as well, Jeff, the fact that this team, when they stay out of the box and they're disciplined, they've been the better team. Usually, if you say, let's give both teams a lot of power plays, you'd say, sign me up to bet on the Oilers, but their penalty kill hasn't been that great. Their power play is what it is. We know how great they are, but 5-on-5, this team will kill you. Game one, you know what I'm taking, Jeff, and I've taken it a lot of these game ones. First period over 1.5, full game over. I don't care if it's the Stanley Cup Finals, Olympic gold medal. It seems to me, if you give these teams a 4, 5, 6 day break, as intense as it is, you lose that just small sense of intensity that you had if you were playing every second day. And with that, I could see both teams scoring in the first period. I could see the home team going up 2-0. Either way, I envision at least 2 goals in the first period. I see action early on in this one.
That word that I will describe this Edmonton Oilers team as we sit right here one day before the puck drop is resilient right now, especially in the playoffs. Went down against the Kings 0-2, not a problem. In Dallas, game one, up 3-1 in game one, gave up 5 goals in the third period, got kind of demoralized. Not a problem. We'll take game 2 and then we'll take over when we get back. Florida's style, the chippiness, the aggressiveness, if they get over zealous and they start picking up some cheap penalties, you start to get this power play cooking with Crisco. Forget about it. Now, what you said about Florida, listen, I wouldn't be shocked if Florida came in and scored a touchdown game 1 against Skinner, because we've seen it. And here's another guy that's resilient. I gave up 6 this game. This team is finding ways. It's going to be one hell of a Stanley Cup. And again, I wouldn't be shocked if it went 7. I sent out the alert the other day. I wouldn't be shocked if Edmonton 1-5. That's how confident I am with Edmonton. I wouldn't be shocked if it went 7, but I stuck with the 6 there. Would I be surprised if Florida won? No, because Bob stands on his head, and they don't quit either. And this is the defending Stanley Cup champs. This is the 3rd year in a row. But what this really reminds me of is the changing of the guard, Andrew. Way, way, way back in the day, there was a team called the New York Islanders with Mike Bossy and company that was just owning the NHL. And then here came the Oilers, here came Gretzky to get their first cup, and it was the changing of the guard. And I think this year, great run by the Panthers, 3 cup appearances, you won last year. I think it's the changing of the guard, Andrew.
I agree with you. I think this team is different. I felt like they made the right changes in this offseason at the deadline, but they didn't make too many. And here we have the same teams back again in the Stanley Cup Finals. I got to say, even though it shouldn't shock me because he's the coach of the team, Paul Maurice, as much as he's been kind of the media guy lately, him saying this is the best team he's ever coached and they won the cup last year, that does scare me a little bit, hearing him say that. But I agree with you. This team is different. And I'm going to close with this. As much as the Carolina Hurricanes got their asses kicked, and we'll both agree they got their butts kicked, I still think Bob looked fantastic in some of those games. I think he did. And you said it yourself. I think that Bob looked good. And there's better goal scorers, we'll put it lightly, on the Edmonton Oilers. So if they give up some of the chances that they gave up against some of these, let's just face it, subpar goal scorers on the Hurricanes, and they're giving up those chances to Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins and company, there's going to be 3 or 4 goals scored for the Oilers. So look forward to seeing your team totals, Jeff. Look forward to seeing how we approach some of these games. But I think that Bob's going to have to be huge for the Panthers once again. I will throw this out there. I know that McDavid won the Conn Smythe, even though the team didn't win it last year. I'm still going to stand strong. Barkov is my guy. I think the reason why Barkov's my guy still, I think, Jeff, I forgot the number you mentioned, but I see 5-1, I think is the number.
550.
550. I think that's still good enough. I'm just not confident that a team will play the Oilers and a goalie can still win it. And he would need a shutout or two, or to give up one goal maybe in a couple games in order for him to win that. I think he's gone on a tear, but this is a guy that is going to face an elite offense, and Florida will have to win some games where they still give up 3 goals, I'd say. And it's hard to give the Conn Smythe trophy to a guy that gave up 3 goals a couple times in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, you have another show going. The scroll has been going the whole time at McInnis Picks, at Wager Talk, WT.buzz/AM. What do you have for everyone watching and listening?
Jeff, $5 Tuesday. You can get one of my CFL plays, a 4% play. So not quite the 5-star rating, but a 4% play available at wagertalk.com for just $5 today. Regular price is $25 on that. But it's the last couple days to get the early bird special on my full CFL season. Look, it's a slow grind. We're going to pick and choose our spots, but this is a sport that I'm very confident in, that I'm going to get the best number for my clients and the customers that look out to me to try and get them the best prices and lead them to success. If you guys are out there, you consume Jeff's content every single day or through the winter, you watch college football, you watch NFL, I'm not even asking you to watch the CFL with me. I'm just asking you to join me in betting on the league. I'd love for you guys to watch it and fall in love with the league like me, but join me, WT.buzz/AM. Click sign up on CFL Early Bird Special, and we'll get you started. Make sure you can always reach out to me on X at McInnis Picks, and we'll talk CFL all summer.
Andrew, have a great day. Best of luck. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Jeff. Take care.
Take care. Andrew McInnis, go follow him at McInnis Picks. I've been doing the CFL now for a while with him. I absolutely love it. I really do. I enjoy watching the games on Friday night. I'll catch a game on Saturday night, and we got the Sunday night special. It kind of takes us through the dog days of summer, where we'll be grinding through the baseball and also be picking and choosing our spots in the NFL and the college football futures as we lead up to Labor Day and so on. So take a couple quick commercial breaks. I see Nick backstage. We're going to bring in the NCAA Insiders. A rough weekend for the SEC. Survive in advance, and there were some eye-openers. Texas, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and boy, LSU had a sweat last night. So go grab a coffee. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Welcome to Good Food. At Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, you'll find the highest quality meats from a variety of delicious cuts. Tomahawks, salmon fillets, ribeyes, and plenty more to choose from. With an easy-to-use, mobile-friendly website, selecting your pick of meat is made quick and easy. And don't forget, worrying about your dinner is a thing of the past. Check out some of the amazing subscription packages that Atlanta Steaks and Seafood has to offer. From fresh steak and seafood straight to your door. Order online at atlantasteaksandseafood.com.
Well, the dust is settled. It's time for the Super Regionals. It's time for Mr. Nick Hathcote. What's up, Nick?
How's it going, Jeffrey?
Listen, played a few futures. We've had some futures in pocket for a while now. Florida State. We lose with Florida. On Sunday, I did a couple run line parlays, went 2-1, lost with Florida. Last night, I admit I was not foolish, but I did have LSU minus 5.5 runs, and they won 10-6. But 5-1, they didn't score twice with the bases loaded in the third and in the seventh. So much to talk about. I'm glad you're here. What the hell did you see? I mean, I'll just say it nicely. A lot of carnage from the SEC, but what did you see over the weekend, Nick?
Yeah, I don't know where you want to even start this at, because there really is so much to talk about. We haven't talked about anything, obviously, since there was the 5 games last night or 6. Yeah, so there is a lot to talk about. I think the carnage of the SEC, it can be looked at both ways. Like, yes, there's only 4 that advanced to the Supers, but there were like 9. But there was literally 9 of the 16 regional finals included SEC teams. So like that part, you can look at it that way. ACC performed extremely well, so definitely don't take anything away from them. Like, that was very impressive. They also got some help from the ACC teams. Got some help from some mid majors defeating some of those like higher 1 seeds and 2 seeds from the SEC. And then I don't know. It's a weird thing where, like, right now you look at it and you say, like, I think it's like 5 years straight right now that they've had where it's been SEC versus SEC in the final. The only chance of that happening this year is if Auburn makes the finals. And to be honest, like, me personally, I don't even think Auburn makes it out of the Super. So I think Coastal beats them, and I don't think we have a SEC team on the left side of the bracket at all. So that's going to be very, very interesting to keep an eye on. Schedule just got posted, so it's going to be a great Super Regionals. And I think it also kind of blows, and I can take this on the chin, I think it kind of blows up in all of our faces that do this sport for full time, where we have said all year, it doesn't seem like there's as much parity. We've been saying that and preaching it all year, where it seems like there's only maybe like 7 to 10 teams that can realistically win it. And maybe that's still the case with LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Carolina. But the way we've been talking about it is like all these small schools, because of NIL, because of the transfer portal, don't have a chance anymore. And now you look at it, and here's UTSA, here's Murray State. Miami is still in it, Louisville's still in it, and it's just like, all right, here we go. Now the parity seems to be back.
You know, and all year as we do the shows on Tuesday and Friday, I always, we're talking, it's heavy SEC, but I always talk about, of course, UConn. Creighton did okay over the weekend.
Yeah.
So
Arkansas that's just a bad. Yeah, Arkansas is just a mismatch for them.
We always talk about out west, and then I always add, how's the ACC doing, and who was catching steam, who was out. Virginia gets left out. Okay, well, Vandy, the number 1 seed here, but here's the North Carolinas of the world, and I've been talking about them now for a while. They look dangerous. The toughest part about the regionals is if you lose that first game and got to come from the losers bracket.
Yeah.
If anyone knows about depth in pitching, when you're looking at the end of the bench and you got your pitching staff with their head down like, no, coach, because it's ding. What shocked you the most over the weekend? What I mean, you talked about the Murray States of the world. I mean, here was a team last night facing LSU, Arkansas Little Rock, that had a 5-1 lead, and you could just tell they were just like, get us to the finish. A team that didn't even have a winning record.
Yes.
A winning record. But what shocked you the most?
I will start off with Oregon. Oregon not showing up at home and getting beat by a 4 seed and then a 3 seed to go 2 in barbecue and get sent to Cancun right away was very shocking. Like, they lost 4 games at home all year, and then they lose 2 within 2 games. Like, they're losing back-to-back against teams they should beat. They threw off in game 1, which obviously turned out to be a mistake. It was one of those where it's hey, like, we think we can beat this team. So let's save our number one, Grinson Grinzel, for game 2. They lost that first game, and then Grinson Grinzel kind of gets blown up. So it just happens to be one of those things. It's so hard to predict. But I would say Oregon, TCU not showing up at all. TCU got outscored, I think, in their 2 games, or their 3 games. It was like 22-3 or something. And they were like on the edge of hosting, and they were like complaining, and they were like probably the biggest advocates of unbelievable. The NCAA screwed us, and then literally just laid an egg. I think when you talk about in terms of losing that first game and having to come back, I think my 2 biggest examples of that are probably, and maybe it's because I follow them the closest, but Ole Miss losing that first game and then having to come back. You could tell in that championship game, like whether it was like Sunday, they won it, 18-5, but because they knew they were going to score a lot. And then last night, they were just out of pitching, and they knew it's like, we have no arms left. We're throwing freshmen out here that have thrown 7 innings the entire season, and we're just going to hope our offense scores enough. And Wake was in the same situation against Tennessee. So a game that I was at, Wake did it differently than Ole Miss. Ole Miss was throwing guys out there that were fresh with not very much experience. Wake was doing the opposite and putting starter after starter out of the bullpen in hoping that, hey, like, these guys are tired, but these are the best arms we have, and like, let's hope it works. It didn't either way, but like, that's the advantage or disadvantage of this format, when it's like, when you get beat first and you basically got to win 4 straight games in 3 days, that becomes very, very tough, which is why it's so different than any other sport we have.
Well, Arkansas Little Rock last night did that, where the guy on Friday threw 119 pitches,
Yep.
and here
And then
he
he
is
came back. Yeah.
and he almost got him to it.
Yeah.
You know, again, LSU.
That's one of those. Yeah, he was a senior. That's one of those. Hey, most people go pro in something other than sports. He's like, I don't care if I can feel my shoulder after this weekend. Just use it.
And thank God for the catcher, had 2 solo homers there, and
Yep.
again, they put on a couple in the ninth, again, 10-6.
Yeah, it made it look worse than it was. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm on DraftKings right now. I got the super regional odds right now. Auburn minus 145. You can get Coastal plus 115. Louisville minus 160. You can grab Miami of Florida plus 130. Duke minus 380. We haven't talked about Duke. Holy shit, Duke. Murray State plus 290. LSU minus 400 against West Virginia at plus 300. Another team we haven't talked about, UCLA minus 180 against the UTSA Roadrunners. This team looks like a wagon. This is, other than your series, which we're going to get to, this is must-watch TV. Oregon State, Florida State, at Oregon State, minus 115 both sides. Arkansas only minus 130 against your Tennessee, plus 100. And North Carolina minus 330 against Arizona, plus 250. Any of those numbers kind of surprise you or shock you?
I think Auburn's too big of a favorite, personally, but I think I was hoping to get a better number on Coastal than plus, what'd you say, 110? I believe it's 110, 115 around right now. Hopefully Auburn being SEC and being only one of the 4 SEC teams left, maybe that gets hit a lot by some SEC homers in this sport. Like, so maybe Auburn gets played and we get Coastal a better number. I think Coastal wins that series. I think Coastal has a better pitching staff. I think their offense has been better. The only issue is playing on the road, which they've done a lot this year. Like, maybe not in this type of environment as Auburn, but that can only sustain so much. Like, at some point, numbers take over, players take over. And I think overall, I think Coastal has a better roster. So that's one I'm kind of surprised by. The LSU number being the biggest one is not surprising because of, if you think of how the format is due. Like, now that it's the best 2 out of 3, and it's not like a double elimination thing where it's like, we know we're going to have to throw 8, 9, 10, 11 pitchers. The fact that LSU has 2 of the top 5 arms in the country, and they can start them both in 2 of those 3 games, is why that number is so big, which I think is unplayable. Like, I wouldn't touch that. Because, like, not like LSU played great this weekend. I mean, they dominated Little Rock as they should have in game 1. Like, it feels like whatever, a week ago. And then Dallas Baptist, who they beat 12-0, was shocking. But then, the last couple of days just haven't played tremendous against, like you said, a Little Rock team that's under 500. Finished, I think they were 7th in their conference, but happened to get hot during the conference tourney. I think a team we're overlooking money-wise, man, Florida State, Oregon State is, you mentioned it, it's like that wouldn't have been a shocker like a week ago if they said, like, this is who we're getting in the national championship. And now they're facing each other in the supers. So I think that is almost untouchable number-wise. I think if this was on a neutral field, I would probably take Florida State just because I trust their starting pitching more. But Oregon State's offense is the better side. And now being at home, Oregon State this year had to, like, without being in a conference, they had to, like, piece together their schedule, and they played a ton of road games to help their RPI and to get where they were in, like, to get where they're at with that 8th overall seed. So now that's why you saw this weekend, they'd only played, I think it was 17 home games the entire year. That's why it was so raucous at that place this weekend. Like, those fans were missing college baseball. And now you get Florida State, a blue blood college baseball program coming, like, literally, you can't really travel much farther than Tallahassee to Corvallis in the entire country. So now you're getting that travel. So that evens it out a whole lot, which makes that one is probably my most unplayable series for the weekend. Because I think that there are so many, like, I wouldn't be shocked if FSU wins 2-0, but I also wouldn't be shocked if Oregon State wins 2-0. I think that one is completely untouchable, completely unplayable, but extremely, like, watchable. Along with, I'll get to Tennessee, Arkansas later. I don't want to talk about that yet, as I'm sure you're going to bring up. But the biggest surprise, I will just bring this out. UCLA looked freaking dominant over the weekend. I don't know where that came from because their offense has been okay. Like, it's been better than a lot of, like, UCLA offenses in the past. It looks the past, like, 5-6 years. Like, they've been very small ball and everything recently. They have the guy that shortstop Rock Chalowski is probably going to win the Golden Spikes, which if people who aren't familiar with college baseball, that's like the equivalent to the Heisman in college football. So Rock Chalowski, the shortstop for UCLA, is probably going to win the Golden Spikes. He's just different, man. He's so good. And that offense, I think they put, I don't know what they put up, 30-something runs in their games this weekend. And now they're facing a UTSA team who we've been saying they're a mid-major, but they're nowhere near a mid-major. If you look at them, they are, like, built like an SEC team. They have a lot of guys that transferred in from SEC schools, Big 12 schools, ACC schools that have kind of helped fermentify that roster, and it's all just clicking. They've lost 12 games all season long, and you can say, like, oh, well, they're in a mid-major conference. It doesn't matter. They've now beaten Texas 4 times this year. They've swept Houston. They've just ran, honestly, the state of Texas. Like, they are the best team in the state of Texas, and it's like they can't even be argued anymore because they have, like, every team that's been put in front of them in Texas, they have beat. And now they're traveling to UCLA. Not the greatest home field advantage for UCLA. It's like, it's kind of the same thing. Think of UCLA football or, like, Stanford football. It's like that weird, like, fans will show up, but it's kind of drowsy. Like, it's not the, like, if you saw like, I was in attendance for Tennessee last night, and if you saw that crowd, like, it was people ready to throw beer bottles on the field to make sure Tennessee wins. Or Mississippi State's the same way. Arkansas, like, that crowd this weekend was absolutely insane. It's not like that at UCLA. So UCLA is going to be an absolutely fun one.
Well, we're going to get to Tennessee and Arkansas. I saw something that I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring it up here. And unless my eyes were sleeping here, it made no sense. So Arkansas minus 130, Tennessee plus 100 at Arkansas. Just reading the market, I think that number's short. I thought I'd see it a little higher on the Arkansas side. But here's what I want to tell you. I'm going to make sure my eyes weren't lying. To win, so you get Tennessee plus 100 right now against Arkansas to get to Omaha. Right now, you can grab, my eyes were doing tricks on me. Tennessee was plus 500 right now on DraftKings. Hold on, give me a second here because I must have been on the Circa app, which we know will have a better line here, because I was like, why would you bet Tennessee at plus 100 when you can get them college baseball odds to win? See, I knew my eyes weren't wrong. Jeffrey Benson at the Circa, God bless you.
Mm.
Tennessee to win it all, plus 1,200 at the Circa. Here's the square book here, DraftKings, plus 5. My point is, if you like Tennessee to win this week, to get to Omaha, call your friends in Vegas, call whoever you know, get your ass to the Circa and get Tennessee plus 1,200.
Correct. I'm with you, and that's why I was pushing this one off. Because of that number is way off. Because basically what it is saying, like where that number plus 100 is saying, like that's like an individual game type number, and you're also going to get that this weekend. It's like you could technically get it, and I would say be able to. You could hedge that all weekend. Like Tennessee's going to be, you could do like that's a stupid bet for plus 100 to win the series, because Tennessee's probably going to be more than plus 100 each of the 2 or 3 games if there's 3 necessary. Like I think the only game Tennessee is probably favored is when Doyle pitches, which I think will probably be like the fact that Doyle had to throw last night to help knock off Wake Forest. I think now he throws game 2. So I think that's the only one that Tennessee would actually be favored in. So it's dumb to take Tennessee plus 100 to win the series when you're going to get game 1, which is probably going to be Zach Root versus Marcus Phillips. You're probably going to get Tennessee at plus 115, plus 120. So there's one game there. You're already getting a better number. Like, so that's off. And then, like I said, game 2, I think Tennessee would be favored. Game 3 with starters, Arkansas would be favored. So once again, so 2 of the 3 games, you're probably getting Tennessee as an underdog anyways. So plus 100 is done. And then looking forward, like you said, the plus, it doesn't matter if it's, I know there's the numbers are so scattered. There's a plus 750 out there for Tennessee to win it all right now, and there's a plus 1,300 right now. So, like, there is a giant skew on what people think of Tennessee. But it's not just that. It's more of the matchups that come ahead and, like, what has happened the rest of the tournament that people need to pay attention to. The teams we said that have a chance to win it, 3 of the 5 are out. Like, Texas is out. Vandy's out. Like it's just been like crazy. So it's like, and you look at one side of the bracket, if Tennessee beats Arkansas, then it's like, who are you going to favor? And then it's either going to be, you're assuming Tennessee or LSU then makes the final. So you could, if you want to hedge out at that point, because they're probably going to, they play each other literally game 1 is when they play each other in Omaha. So that could easily be hedged out or played any way that you want. Whereas I think LSU and Tennessee would be pretty even. On that neutral field, like on that first game. But then you also trust Tennessee more than at least me, and that's not just my fandom coming out, but the numbers say it the same, than any team on that left side. Maybe barring North Carolina, who we've talked about a ton. If North Carolina comes out, I think they have a chance. Otherwise, I still think all 3 teams, I would favor LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas as the 3 best teams and the 3 best chances to win it. So, yeah, that number being that high, it's definitely way more playable for, like I said, for them to win it all, as opposed to it'd be a terrible bet at plus 100 to just win the Super Regional.
Yeah, and DraftKings has North Carolina plus 700, and Jeffrey Benson has it at plus 650. Right now at the Circa, LSU plus 375, Arkansas plus 305, Tennessee plus 1,200, North Carolina plus 650, and then everyone else, Auburn 1,400, 1,500 for Oregon State, Coastal Carolina plus 1,700.
What is Florida State's? Yeah.
Plus 1,500.
Okay. That's actually one I would look at, and that's more of the path. I mentioned them being on the road against Oregon State and being kind of even, but then also you look at what they do is when they move forward, their first game in Omaha will be either Miami or Louisville, who I think they would take care of either of them. And then you have like a North Carolina team who they've been up and down. Yes, North Carolina took 2 of 3 from FSU, but also that was the best weekend North Carolina played all year. And that's kind of when, like, we saw it's like, okay, North Carolina's good, they're good. holy crap, they're great and can win it all. So there's going to be some like revenge factor there too, between Florida State. So it's like, if you can get Florida State at 1,500, what you're taking, the way that the left side of this bracket has worked out, the plus 1,500 is basically you saying they can beat Carolina, who I think they are slightly underdogs with. I will admit that, but not 1,500 underdogs. And then it's how do you look at Florida State versus, say, it's an Arkansas or LSU? They aren't going to be 1,500 in that series. I can promise you that. Like, they will be probably, I don't know, plus 220, plus one, somewhere around that, like plus 180, 220 if it ends up being Florida State versus LSU or Florida State versus Arkansas or Tennessee. So it's like 1,500 right now is actually a really, really good number to grab value-wise, because you'll also be able to work out of it if you need to later on in Omaha.
These start on Friday?
Yep, Friday
All
at
right.
noon. Yeah,
Friday
four of them start Friday, 4 of them start Saturday.
All right, we're going to bring you back, both Quentin and Matt, on assignment. We'll bring everyone back Friday at 11 a.m. so we can get those broken down before the first pitch. Everyone knows on X where to follow you guys, and especially yourself, and Hathcote 413. But as we always wrap up this spot here, Nick, tell them where they can find all your work, your website, your dub club, and all that good stuff.
At NCAA Insiders, probably the best place to follow us. That's our main profile on X. I do a lot of the tweeting out and coverage on there. collegebaseballinsiders.com is free right now. It's like all these numbers have been updated from the postseason, especially. So it's a very good matchup predictor, especially like with us not having numbers out yet. You can go ahead and plug in every single one of these 8 super regionals and just see what the odds should be. It's a great tool to have, so that as soon as you can plug in and see like, hey, we think UCLA should be minus 140. So if the books put them out as minus 120 and we think there's an advantage there, hit it. So you can hit it right away and not have to wait until like a number moves. Also, our dub club, we have, like I said, this is our best time of year. We have been killing it this postseason, gambling wise. It's much more easy to do when there's a lot fewer teams. You kind of know what pitching is going to happen. You know how teams react at home and away. The numbers, like now after you're 60 games in, it's hard to make numbers lie anymore. So it's a huge help. So like the handicapping gets easier this time of year. So just follow us all on there. It's one price to get all 4 of our plays. So it's great. And yeah, we've been very successful. And now it's just looking to Friday. It's crazy that we're down to the Sweet 16 and basically a week and a half away from when we will all be in Omaha. Yeah, I do want to press this. I almost forgot about this. We will all be in Omaha. We will be doing shows from Rocco's, I believe, 5 mornings with a VSIN crew. We're doing some things with home field, post-game stuff at a couple different bars where it's like we're going to do some meet and greet, stuff like that. So, yeah, don't miss out. Feel free to DM us on where we'll be. But we'll be giving out some, we're giving out some hats, giving some free bets out and stuff like that from Rocco's. We'll be on Sirius XM. So yeah, go ahead and make sure you're following us so that you know where to catch us when Omaha starts.
I can't believe it. I'm so proud of you guys, and we're just beginning. So an amazing season. Get some rest, have some fun the next few days, and we'll see you Friday at 11 a.m.
Yeah, appreciate it as always, Jeff.
All right, you take care. Nick Hathcote, go follow him, NH Hathcote 413, the NCAA Insiders, Matt Grissom at Grissom on X, Quentin Mills at Q Millie, that's 3 L's, 2 Y's. Take a quick commercial break and we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download. what a show, what a show, what a great way to start Tuesday. Andrew McInnis, CFL, NHL, and then, of course, Nick Hatcoat, NCAA Insiders, talking some super regionals as we get closer to Omaha. As he said, the Sweet 16. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Brady Cannon at Las Vegas Golfer at Sports Grid will be back talking Canadian Open 1 week before the U.S. Open, and I guess some of the guys are already over there, and OMG, it is going to be a war out there next weekend. The rough is, forget about it. So you're going to have to keep the ball in play. You're going to have to keep the brain. There's going to be some bogeys, some double bogeys, some quadruples, some triples. So, geez, this sounds like a Scotty Scheffler setup here. So we're super stoked there. Anyone interested, head on over to eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Top right corner, plans and pricing. And then scroll all the way to the bottom. Move the retail price over to the left. We have an introductory ECSI VIP. Join and live the experience. It's your own little gym membership, $3 a day. And all our plays sent to you via text to your cell phone and emailed. For people that want to turn this not into entertainment, at the end of the week, I only lost $100, $150. It was my entertainment. That's usually the swan song for most people here. We've been doing this. This is our 10th year of public service. We couldn't be prouder of our team. And we're trying to celebrate our 10-year anniversary with you guys. And so someone looking for the rest of 2025, and I think let me see, we're in June. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December. There's 7 months there. Send me a DM at EC Sports Invest on Twitter, or send us an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. Hey, I'm interested. And we could create a plan for your budget for the rest of 2025. So we have a handful of spots left for an introductory offer for the rest of 2025. If you want to have us get you through the dog days of summer, and let's say get you through some football, through the World Series, that's through October, we can work with you there. So again, I want to thank everyone here. If you haven't already, jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors and subscribe. It's free. We're almost up to 12,000 subscribers. We couldn't be prouder there. So everyone, have a blessed day. Enjoy yourself, and we'll see you soon.